Got it. I'm going to pause.
Yikes.
Oh, the good old days.
All right, everybody, we are recording now. Welcome to the November installment of the STARC Committee meeting. It is November 22nd, 2022. Good evening, everybody. We have a quorum of five of us this evening, as our committee membership has now dropped down to 8 over some health issues, but we are so grateful that we're here as we are. There are no first-time guests here, so I will dispense with any introductions, right? We all know each other here. And let's first of all, we'll go ahead and continue with the review of the Code of Conduct. That can be found in its entirety on empowerla.org. But essentially, it is to prevent any aggressive attacks on pretty much any of the protected classes, but just anybody. While we are conducting business, let's remind each other ideas are meant to be exchanged in this forum. So we allow everybody to be heard. And when we want to disagree, we disagree on the merits of the idea and try to avoid any sort of personal attacks. And that is essentially the code of conduct we like to adhere by. Our quorum requirements, again, are 50% plus 1. As our membership is now down to 8, that makes 5 our quorum requirements to begin a general meeting. And our mission statement can be reviewed at stnc.org underneath the committee heading. We are not only a nexus where artists and organizations can come to find resources, but we are here to support any of the events and the productions and the quality of life that the artists help to provide for our area. That's what we think is important. Let's go ahead over to the minutes. I'm going to pull those up and we'll get the minutes from last month out of the way. Let's see, do those look like minutes from October 25?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. We had a wonderful group last night in attendance, at least from the membership, was myself, Don Jenkins, Katie Travers, Michelle Wadler, Gerardo Barrientos, Joanna Gates, Lucy Berman, Debbie Beck, and for guests, we had Roger Clem, Laura Newland, Abby Diamond, SL, as they were listed, Karen Moran, Cindy Cleghorn, Jennifer, first name only, Sherry McCoy, David Jenkins, Cheryl Schmidt, Carol Hutchinson, Dee Arima. So we had a good group. Joe DeCenzo invited the guests to introduce themselves. He then read through the minutes of the prior month's meeting. Gerardo Barrientos moved to approve those minutes as written. Joanna Gates seconded the motion. The motion passed 8-0. And under the mission statement code of conduct, I did indeed review the mission statement and the current code requirements. He briefly reviewed the code of conduct and invited members and guests to view the complete list at empowerla.org. Under public comments, non-agenda items, Joe DeCenzo stated that member Corey Stein has regretfully informed the committee that she is resigning her position due to health reasons. She will rejoin the committee in the future if fate allows. Michelle Wadler announced that the greening project at Apperson Elementary is seeking plant and financial donations for the planting days of November 5th and 19th. Joe announced that former Sunland Tujunga Poet Laureate will be performing at Bolton Hall Museum. Let me include her name. Katarina Canyon. Will be performing at Bolton Hall Museum on November 13th at 4:30. Under the guest speaker presentation, Craig Durst, The Life and Music of Eden Abiz, Craig shared a video slideshow with those in attendance. Historic images of Big Tahunga Canyon, where Mr. Abez resided, were included. Craig played an audio version of Nat King Cole's rendition of Nature Boy, which was #1 on the Billboard charts for 3 months in 1948. Many details of the life he shared with his wife Zoma were included. The Swedish band, anybody's pronunciation of Zitwale, I don't remember, recording Eden's second album, Dharma Land. Craig played some of the tracks from the album in his presentation. They featured natural animal sounds and hand drums, flutes crafted by Eden, auto harps, and tribal percussion. Eden Abez passed away in 1995 at the age of 86. Roger Clem shared a photo of the welcome garden he maintains. One of the informational plaques he designed contains a lyric from Eden's song Nature Boy. Craig concluded by announcing the Verdugo Hills Cemetery will seal its time capsule at 6 p.m. on October 30th. And then we had an update on the McGroarty Arts Center. Joanna Gates thanked those who attended the Burgers Beer and Band festivities to benefit the Arts Center. She praised the Key Club members for their invaluable help. She announced the plans for the Arts and Crafts Fair are in development. It will be held December 3rd and 4th. Joanna closed by inviting Lucy Berman to send her the information regarding Hanukkah in the Foothills so she can produce the constant contact email. Wow, that seems like a year ago. Anyway, discussion, future guest speaker bookings. Committee members are encouraged to list their suggestions for guest speakers on the Google Doc file created by Don Jenkins. Only confirmed speakers will be listed on the dates for the upcoming meetings. All other will be listed as potential until they can be confirmed. Community Arts Project, Gerardo Barrientos, Pinewood Mural, has received updated insurance and can safely continue work. He has applied graffiti coating to much of the mural and is beginning work on the far. What do they want me to do with that? No, I'm not hyphenating that. Beginning to do work on the far right side. Michelle Wadler, Phoenix Rising, informed the committee that Mr. Gallegos, the district groundskeeper, stated a tested core sample of the art mosaic is required to ensure it contains no toxic substances. Mrs. Nguyen, a coordinator for the schools, feels it may be untenable to approve the artwork. Bus bench ads. We're still working on hikers and bikers images. We're also considering get here as fast as you can slogan. And then discussion review for past and future events. The Randy Van Horst Singers, emceed by Franny McCartney, will be performing at Bolton Hall at 1 p.m. December 10, 2022. And then we adjourned at 9:20 p.m. And apart from the corrections that I made, does anybody have any comments on last month's minutes?
Yes,
Yeah.
the spelling of Mr. Gallegos' name is Gallegos.
G-A?
Yes, Gall.
G-A-L-L.
Egos.
E-G-O-S. Correction noted. And I see Dawn waving her hand.
Eden Abez's wife's name was Anna, and his son's name was Zoma.
Is that right?
Yeah.
He wasn't married to his son?
Last I checked, no.
All right. His wife
Anna.
His wife was Anna?
Uh-huh. You can look it up. I just looked it up.
All right, thank you. His wife, normal spelling?
A-N-N-A. It's an abbreviation.
And son. Let's say his life shared with his wife Anna and son Zoma.
Yeah, that's
How about
fine.
that? Great, good. Because I wouldn't want to marry him to his son.
And you also made me aware that I hadn't shared the link to that folder with all of you, so I'm adding you all now.
I thought you had. No?
Well, doesn't look like it to me, so I'm going to do it now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sorry,
then
folks.
we're getting on it.
I think, Joe, you had access, but not everybody else.
Ah, okay. Maybe that was it.
So I apologize for not getting on this much, much sooner.
That's okay. Dawn, this is how the sausage gets made.
Oh,
Eventually.
All right. So with those corrections, would anyone, I need a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the meetings from our meeting of October 25th.
JT, move to approve minutes as corrected.
As corrected.
As corrected. Okay. Second, please.
I'll second.
Lucy seconds.
Joe, has anybody else left the committee? Oh, I guess Cindy's not on the committee. I was picking off your email, so that must be it.
Yeah, if you look, the minutes are still on the shared screen here,
Okay,
but I need to remove Karen. Karen has
oh,
resigned.
she's leaving?
Yeah, Karen has
Oh,
resigned. I asked if she wanted me to say anything to the members on her behalf, and she did not respond yet.
okay.
Oh, and I need to call your attention, Joe. It says that Michelle Wadler is here as an STNC board member. She is no longer an STNC.
Oh, I've got to take that asterisk. Okay, thank you. Noted. I will remove the asterisk before, because these are last month's. These are last month's minutes, and she was not a board member last month either, right?
Right.
Okay, so I will remove that. But as of last month, Karen was a member, but I get to remove her from this one. Okay, we'll take that off, and then we'll take that off there. Okay. Very good. Okay, so where were we? Lucy had seconded to approve the minutes as corrected. And thank you. All those in favor of approving minutes as corrected, please show a hand. I got Debbie raised a hand. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion passes 5-0. Great. All right. Now we'll go up under non-agenda items number 3. First thing I'd like to say, yes, at least for the record, now that we're being recorded, committee member Karen Von Gunten has tendered her resignation to me. I am only making the assumption that she is spending a great deal of time taking care of her mother. And at least in prior months, that has prevented her from attending. And it is possible she may return in the future. But as for now, she is resigning her membership to STARC Committee. And does anyone else have anything to mention for non-agenda items?
I do.
Okay.
On behalf of ST Forward and the Apperson Elementary School PTA, thanks to any of those of you who contributed. However, we did not finish our work because the November 5th event had to be called off, and we will be reconvening at Apperson Elementary on December 3rd. So anybody who's interested in volunteering on that day or contributing still, we'd very much appreciated that. But we had a very, very productive day on the 19th, and lots of beautiful new native plants there in the schoolyard, and lots of curricular opportunities there for working with those native plants. Thank you.
So good. So this is this still called the Greening Project?
It's the Greening and Beautification Project.
Greening and Beautification Project. I'm curious, is our beautification committee involved in this by any chance?
No, they haven't been, because
okay.
The beautification part of it is a PTA thing that they do. every other year. It's the greening part of it that ST Forward introduced.
Okay.
So we were the greening, the PTA is the beautification.
Okay. Does anyone else have a non-agenda item? Okay. I would like to announce the listings of our councilwoman's Monica's events here. I don't know if I'm going to stop sharing our screen here. As soon as I get this up, I can say approve now because it's approved. And I will stop sharing. Did any of you receive one of these in the mail? Yay! These a listing of free holiday community events sponsored by Monica Rodriguez, Councilwoman, the 7th District. Most pertinent to us is December 9th. It is a tree lighting ceremony at Sunland Recreation Center, and that takes place at 6 p.m. But there are a couple of other things in that first week of December that are worth noting, particularly their 55th annual Pacoima Holiday Parade. That is going up on December 10th at 9:45 a.m. and it takes off at Pacoima City Hall. Let's see, card. Okay. Well, if that is all on public events, we get to move on to what's quickly becoming my favorite section of the monthly agendas. This is the guest speaker series, and this month we have the Poets of Sunland Tujunga, including myself. I've titled it Holiday Hopes and Insights, and I would like to introduce our first speaker. She is a well-published author. If you haven't read this book, it should be mandatory reading in all of our schools. This is Sunland Tujunga, Village to City. This is a book that Marlene authored. This is also one of her recent publications, Clocks and Water Drops. And there's some wonderful poetry in here. Author Jack Cooper was quoted as saying, "The Clocks and Water Drops is a book of treasured gifts, packed in memories and reflections as tasty as homemade bread, fanciful as a rose petal salad, and healing as warm camphor oil on a child's skin." That's a wonderful use of the simile. And Marlene also appears in this recently produced publication, Crystal Fire, which I will be reading from this evening, but I'll let Marlene take it away after I just say that she and her husband have been honored numerous times at many levels in the community for all they've done over the years, and it's wonderful to have her here. Marlene Hitt.
Thank you, Joe. I am unmuted, right?
You're unmuted. We hear you.
All right. I'd like to tell you then that way back, as far back as 1916, poets have been from this area have been noted in various newspapers, and one of them at that time was called Slim Vaughn. He lived here on Shady Grove Street, and he was known as the Southwest Tumbleweed because of the 500 poems and articles that he'd written about the West, the real West. He was a fellow that he did everything and was a landscaper, and he also was one of the cowboys at Knott's Berry Farm. Now, there are so many people listed in the archives of Bolton Hall. It would not be right for me to try to tell you about all of them, but there were a couple that I thought were interesting. One of them was, what's her first name now? Wilma Martin. And she writes about the beautiful pathway that she would use to come home from school, going from Pinewood to Commerce. And I point that out because all of the poems of that day were beautiful, about the beauty. Now that leads me to John Stephen McGroarty, on whose shoulders we all seem to stand. Because of his article in the LA Times about the beautiful vale of Monte Vista, people came to be in a beautiful vale and in solitudes so they could write. Let's see now, does everybody know about John Stephen McGroarty? A poet laureate, California poet laureate from 1933 to 1944. And that's all that needs to be known about him. But people wrote about the beauty of the place because of what McGroarty had pointed out so eloquently. There was another lady, Eileen Prinz, who wrote an ode to Bolton Hall. There's the other fellow, the self-proclaimed honorary Holland American poet laureate. I thought that was kind of interesting. And he was a member of the California Federation of Chaparral Poets. Now that was a very large group, became a large group. I have a little bit here that I looked up about them. First of all, the John Stephen McGroarty chapter was the first one that was formed. Is that my time? And by that time, California Federation had become the largest poetry group in the world, with 30 chapters from both Northern and Southern and all over the world. So that was a pretty hefty group for us to belong to. They had structure, they had contests and conferences, conventions. So it was a very structured group and very large and very influential. After that kind of, in our town, that kind of faded away because of age and that sort of thing. And it became, then there's another group that began to form. Myron Ruderman started one of the classes, a poetry class at McGroarty, but only 4 people showed up regularly. So McGroarty felt that the personnel felt that it was a little bit too hard for them to come and sit on an evening for only 4 people. So Genevieve Kruger said, well, why don't you come down the street to my house? So we met there at her house on McGroarty Street for about 25 years weekly. And we had a workshop, a study group, groups that were at one time contained someone from every age group, age decade, all kinds of very interesting, learned people. So that was called the Chuparosa Group, and we put out 3 written books. They were called calendar diaries. And as time does, Genevieve got so she couldn't handle that anymore. And about a little bit before that, Jenny Haddad, as a member of the group, and Jamie O'Halloran, they found out about this small town poet laureate program that was going on. So Jenny jumped on it right away, created a poet laureate program in our area. And from that came our present poet laureate group, which has been going since 1999. And we have our 11th poet laureate. Now, what is a poet laureate, for goodness sakes? Well, it is someone who can represent your community. It is a position of high honor, a position of community service. The poet laureate is ambassador, a cheerleader for the community. And from that, many other groups were led and were at the library, such as the Eccentric Moon, the Word of Mouth, the Camelback. But the village poets then began with the core, the nucleus of all the poet laureates. We formed a laureate commission, no, coalition is a better word, and began the village poets that met at at Bolton Hall, beginning again soon. And it has been very good, very inspiring. And for anybody who wants to know more about that, check on the Village Poets blog, and that, or you can find it with a search or through maybe Maya Trofimchik's various sites. Now, any questions or suggestions? And what I forget, Joe?
Oh, I suggest you read a poem.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah, I covered them. I forgot. Now, from the Chup Rosa writers, one of the things we did was experiment. So, in their honor, I'm going to read a Chupa Sin Quain. It was written by everybody. Birth, swimming in the warm sea in a red beating world, as free as one can ever be. Embryo. Love, candles illumine eyes. I have always known deep brown places to swim in, my love. Death, dying while the sun shines. One should travel at night when the stars' lights shine brightest. Hurry. And this is entitled Words from Joe's Poem. That was a different Joe. Tangled, joined in a wall, river rock 6 feet high, marking time from building to fall backward. That is the Sing Twain. Would you like to hear a short Thanksgiving poem that I wrote?
We're going to go in a circle. So
Okay.
save it for round 2.
Okay.
And I'll read a poem next.
Okay.
And for holiday hopes, Thanksgiving's, it's not too profound to say that it's a lot about food, but food was kind of a metaphor in my family for making everything all right. And everything, like if we were arguing, it's like mom would just, look, let's work it out after dinner. And then by the time we had eaten dinner, we'd sort of forgot what we were mad about, and it was a lot easier to deal with. So this poem I wrote is titled Lasagna. From incompatible ingredients, love's expression baked to perfection in the oven of her heart. Starting with a clear glass dish that all could see through, she greased it with patience and rubbed stamina on all sides so nothing would stick, nothing would burn. She boiled sheets of immiscible personalities and rebellious disposition until they were pliant and flexible, but firm to the tooth, al dente. In the stew pot, she simmered a paste of different mindsets and manners, slices of quarrels and disputes, hearty chunks of tension, a dash of skirmish, a pinch of struggles, serenely stirred and blended until the flavors coalesced. In the bosom of her dish, she layered each character between a full ladle of piquant sauce, each creature exclusive and unique, distributing a savory aroma throughout the room. Drawn by what she created, no one strayed from the table before reaching their fill of the family casserole. And next, I'd like to introduce our next reader. Our next reader, Kathleen Travers, has appeared in readings from Mattingly Hall in Cambridge, England, to the Iguana Cafe, to the LA Festival Times of Books. She's been the recipient of fellowships to the Prague Writers Festival and for postgraduate studies at Cambridge University. She's formerly a high school and university educator. She's also a historic restoration expert specializing in architectural ceramics. Please welcome Kathleen Travers.
Oh, you make me blush. Thank you. I try to write something seasonal every year. Some of them are a little on the dark side, so I apologize in advance. Hence the theme tonight. So I'm going to start by explaining, for those of you who don't know, the Feast of the Holy Innocents, just after Christmas, is in remembrance of the massacre of young children in Bethlehem by Herod the Great in his attempt to kill Jesus, the infant king whose birth was foretold by the star and the coming of the wise men. Lule, the tiny child, a lullaby for the innocents. I have spent my store of quieting sounds. He sleeps while the air yet reels with the clamor of the just closed night, unearthly voices and shakings of the distant hills, great lights that gleamed the desert a river of gold. Or was it the train of nobles bound to see the child, so richly laden their wake was dusted with the precious sheen? Could it be that such stir has sounded the birth of one tiny child? A shepherd, his huddled flock oddly silent, claimed he'd heard the night sing, a spectral chorus to the newborn king, delivered of such frosty morning, deliverer of our people, and the strange display heralding his birth that all would know of this night's great gift. But a shepherd cannot understand, nor a phantom voice, I think. The moment any child is born, the sun and moon and stars all sing, and a mother's heart pays homage, begins a lifelong fealty and fear. For having brought you into this world, I would keep you from its darkness. A child was born today, my child, a year ago today, and died in the tumult of this night, his blood staining warm the winter sand. Sleep, thou little tiny child. Bye-bye, Lule, Lule.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Round two.
And two.
Would you like to, Marlene, do you have another you'd like to read?
Yes, here it is. It's from Meditations on Divine Names. That was an anthology that Maya created. It's called The Prayer of Thanks. My eyes. From dry, crackling pathways, stillness of overgrown chaparral, comes that will to live. Saws scrape at oak and spruce, axes chop at the root balls, to clear an acre, to plant, to be warm and dry and fed. From skins and meat, feather and flesh, this guilty species grows. First consumes, absorbs, then becomes deer and bear, bush and root ball, grass and sea, all of it. And then the prayer of thanksgiving.
And let's see, for my second poem, apart from food, everything for the holidays is about coming home. And Kentucky journalist John Ed Pierce said, "Home is a place where you grow up wanting to leave and grow old wanting to get back to." And I titled this Odysseus in an RV. Whether you're an ancient Greek warrior fighting mythical creatures and tempestuous seas for 20 years, wending your way back home to your spouse, or a simple farm girl from Kansas clicking her heels 3 times trying to find the true meaning of family, home is more than where the heart lies, that place you feel loved and most comfortable, surrounded by objects of great relevance and meaning in your life. Home is where you're centered, secure, and emotionally anchored. For some, it's an address where only the mind can deliver, the touchstone we compare all other experience, the foundation where all exploits are built, the base camp we return time and again when that limb we've crawled out on bears the strain of our ambitions, and we yearn to retreat. Home is where we feel balanced and in harmony with the musings in our head. Going home often requires more than a trek through a bus terminal, a train station, or an airport. It can be the adventure of a lifetime whose voyage is more illuminating than the destination itself, whose path almost never proceeds in a straight line, fraught with curves, forks, options, and consequence. The journey of our yearning usually circles back to the very place we started in our attempt to go home.
We're going to close with a poem of mine that has 3 different voices. And so I've asked our other poets to each take on one of the voices so that you get more of a sense of there being 3 parts to this than you would if I were the only one reading. It's called Musings on the Night of the Star.
Oh, before you start, are you able to share your screen? Are you asking us to read a section?
Oh, weren't you going to each read a section for me?
I don't know if I got that. I'm willing to if you want, but I would need a copy brought up.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I thought that I'd taken care of that, but I guess I'm just going to have to jump in with slightly different voices. And why don't you pretend that Joe is reading the
That would
shepherd
be great.
and that Marlene is reading the ox, and then I'll complete with the stable. So, the shepherd. Once I was a shepherd. Some would say I am yet. But to be a thing is to love the work of it, to warm at the smell of damp wool, thirst only for the ache, the sweetness of their milk, thrill to tuneless bleeding. No longer do I boast of the bone-bruising climb to winter's sparse grass or scorched search for summer lakes. Since then, I have needed other work, that of tearing breath from the body, of joining my life with stars, my gasps with the glorious sighs of winged creatures. But shepherds do not sing. The ox. And then I spoke, with not much to say, but in the joy of being understood, I asked, what can I give? And she told me. If once more I had the chance, of what would I speak? Not the plow or the barrels, not such a burden truly, and easier to bear than before, believing as I do that someday I could talk of it again. Once again, I will have a voice, and once again might know the feeling of being needed, of giving just the right thing, of warming a child to life with my breath. The stable. That night, I was a respectable barn, aging but in tolerable repair, enough to stand the exigencies of weather for the modest lot who called me home. Then was I visited with a vision of existence as it could have been, vaults of marble, sleek lines, and pillared glory, massive in presence and imagination. And thus I first knew envy and pity. In the many days since, I have become a relic, poor shards of my past, and quiet, though certain glory. But with ruination has come one bright surety, in ages hence, exalted or demeaned, depending on the artist's sentiment or fashion of his time, of all high and gleaming monuments to men or gods, I will be most painted and the most misunderstood.
Well, thank you everybody for your wonderful attention to the readers. We got used to doing Zoom readings for a while because there weren't many alternatives there are some people who are still meeting this way. If you're interested in enjoying this type of presentation further, we're very happy though that we are meeting again in person, that the museum is available to us, and we will continue to schedule in-person meetings. We typically do it on the fourth or fifth Sunday of the month, and we'll give you some notice. If you're interested in joining us, you can be there. Are there any questions for the readers? Okay, then we'll move on.
Well, I want to I'm sorry, I had my muted.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So bravo, bravo. What
Well,
a
thank you.
wonderful cornucopia of blessings from all of you sharing these beautiful poetic works. Thank you.
Yes, I always am amazed when I hear perspectives that I don't think of. That's mostly what draws me to this type of expression, because if a poet's doing their job, they're making you look at things that you just couldn't perceive in the sterile, basic way that things appear. And I particularly like the idea of the stable from its faded glory, but what an important event occurred in what must have just been, covered with dirty, soiled hay, and yet there was a shining light that appeared on that type of frail structure.
Nice.
All right. Very good. So next month is we'll have a guest speaker set up. We're still meeting. The committee had already voted that we will maintain our meeting on the fourth Tuesday of the month. And remind me again, what is the date in December? Is it the 28th? Our next meeting is the
Good question.
Our next meeting is the 27th.
Okay.
So if you have any suggestions for guest speakers for the 27th, please let me know.
Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, uh-huh.
I'm still unmuted. I read on the Shadow Hills Property Owners Association newsletter about the crime statistics. And there's an officer, oh, his name just dropped out of my head, that they talk about, who's going to retire soon, but he would be a great person to hear. He's a traffic cop, and he talked to us once in another committee, and I was very impressed.
Uh-huh.
So shall I forward the SHPOA to you?
Yeah, send me the message if it's relevant. I'm curious what he would speak about. We try to keep it relevant to our mission statement.
That's true. I forgot that. I mean, I didn't forget. I just thought it would be fascinating to find what what people are doing now. It's an attitude thing.
Okay.
But
Well, let me look into it, and maybe there's an angle that might be relevant.
yeah.
Okay. And Dawn, I got a late message from Joanna.
Yes, Joanna and I communicated.
Okay, so we could
Now I'm representing McGrory tonight.
as well. All right, we'll go on to agenda item number 5 then with Dawn.
Okay. So this is representing McGrory first. This isn't the Zoom
Yeah.
tutorial. That's fine. So McGrory Arts Center, of course, is opening back up. And we have wonderful things coming up. We have more of a boutique level holiday arts and crafts fair on December 3rd and 4th, where they're still looking for more vendors, and people won't be allowed in the building yet. but they will be able to use the restroom, and there will be the parking lot full, and we'll just have the best time we can with the restrictions that are still there. So we don't have to, like, masks are optional outdoors, which is great. So this is an opening, our first time back having our arts festival. And they're going to have, I believe, a bake sale. They're going to try to have things like that there, even though they're not going to have chili this year. I'd really promoted the chili. I said you could have a chili contest, you know, to get people to compete for the best chili, and that is one way of getting really great chili.
Yeah.
But they're just, you know, without the ability to use the building like we normally do, and keep, you know, it's just a big, and all the people that used to run that have moved. Like this Michelle Ramage moved up to Oregon. She was a big supporter of that event. And
Mm-hmm.
several other people have moved away. Karen Alsberger moved up to Washington. So some of the people that were in charge of the actual food in the past that made sure it was safe and healthy and good
Then ran the
are not there
kitchen.
anymore. So running the kitchen. So this is a whole thing they need to handle for next year. And they had made a gazillion chili bowls. I told them most people wouldn't care. They'd be happy to have a styrofoam bowl with just a little chili in it. But I'd like to know from you guys what your opinion is. If they had chili and they could just give us a bowl of, I mean, just a, you know, a styrofoam or what, a plastic bowl, some kind of bowl that instead of an actual ceramic bowl, and you were just buying it for a discount because you're just buying the chili, not a bowl, how many of you would find that a reason not to participate?
The way you're
Or how many
posing
of
the
you would like
question,
to have the chili
So you're
without the
saying,
ceramic?
if we want to just come and buy chili, no bowl?
Yeah.
actually, Don, the way you asked the question is, would that have kept you away
Now, would that keep you away if you couldn't
if
go
you
there
bought
for a
chili in a
ceramic?
styrofoam bowl?
Yeah, if
I
you
think
got
it's
a,
all how
well,
you market it. I think people love chili.
I said any reason you have food in Salmonahunga, you have inexpensive food to eat, they'll show up. You know, the hot food, they got the guys in the door at least, because I think the women will come for the arts and crafts for holiday gifts. But I don't think many men are going to show up if there isn't something like we normally had chili and beer, right? Those are big pulls for a lot of the community.
I'll tell you one thing, and that is I signed up for to be at our table. And I thought to myself, how can I stay that long without anything to eat? So
Yeah,
I was going to call and find out if there's anything to eat up there.
I would say bring food because the only thing they're going to have is the bake sale.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that just
That's
sounds
what I'm
like
saying. I'm sorry because I think the food is a big draw and it is a big deal. I agree. It's a big deal to put this on, but to find some way to have some food there that you could buy, get somebody to be a concession there as a vendor somehow. You know, there, if you have a will, there's a way. It's okay. I'm not on the board. It's not my decision. So
yeah.
blessings to them in that process. And this is a boutique level. I said people forgive because they know you guys are just warming up. You're just reopening. We got a new executive director who's very inexperienced. So she's going to become more experienced over time. So that's all good. And we also have the winter session that's open for enrollment. So the classes are available. I actually had let's see, I'm going to open up the McGroarty site because I was looking at it earlier and they have a beautiful new website if you haven't been there. I just can't believe I don't see it easily because I did have it open. So it is they're making inroads, they're making progress. If you haven't been there in a long time to check out the McGroarty website, they have a new one. And it's quite lovely, I think. It's very modern looking compared to what we've had in the past. And so I'm going to go to their website now.
Man,
And
if
just very quickly, I'll show it, okay?
yeah,
Here it is.
I was going to ask if you know, is there a stock photo that they license? Is there a licensing for all this artwork? I mean, this is obvious. This is somebody's photo of our local area, but all these
So they
other
took this right
photos.
from the terrace and they
Yeah.
put this over it. And events and exhibitions, here's the blurb about Holiday Art and Craft Fair, December 3rd from 10 to 5, 4th from 10 to 4. And this is the flyer, which they've got like 4 different flyers. This is actually pretty nice. Holiday Art and Craft Fair at McGroarty Arts Center. And so we've got artisan vendors, live music, student sale, bake sale. They do have some bowls left over from previous years. They don't have as many to have an actual chili bowl event where we used to make 1,000 bowls.
Yeah.
They have pictures of Santa on Sunday. That's a cute little thing. And you'll see it's all listed here. So that's that for the chili bowl event. And it's not chili bowl, sorry, art and craft fair. The education, they're having enrollment right now for, it begins on January 9th, their winter session, and they have various classes. So you can go in there, check it out, sign up. I know Joanna's been teaching yoga in addition to her artistic expression classes or expressive arts. So please do go and check out McGroarty and support McGroarty Arts Center. And McGroarty supporting Hanukkah in the Foothills. We finally got those MailChimps going out, not MailChimp, Constant Contact. So our community is sending out messages. So bravo to the new McGroarty team for getting that done. She's not here. I don't know who I'm applauding. They're not here.
No, very good.
But, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Lucy, for getting it all to her.
Okay, thanks. Does that conclude your update?
Well, just hold, a lot of energy on McGroarty and support for them and encouragement to them. That they just
So I have a question. Are you saying definitely there will be no chili bowls? Is that was just like it's just problematic because they don't have people to make enough bowls or the team's not there?
So in years past, they started the process of making the chili bowls months and months, like during the summer. And they'd have these events where they'd have on a Sunday, all the local ceramicists who'd be willing to come in and make chili bowls. And then it's a process. And we'd have like 1,000 chili bowls to have the chili bowl event in December. And so they, between making the bowls and then firing them and glazing them and getting them ready, it's a big deal. And so they have leftover bowls from the last chili bowl that are still available for people to buy with, I guess, candy in it. They're going to, put it with saran wrap with candy in it in the bowl, but they're not going to have any chili. So it's just going to be this is what it used to be. It was called the Holiday Boutique. I don't know how many of you remember that. Actually, they say 18 years, but that's nonsense because it's much older. I think I found a flyer in my mother's stuff from the 60s where they had a holiday fair. So holiday fairs have been going, art and craft fairs have been going at McGroarty on and off for decades. So there's been lots of boutique art and craft fairs at McGroarty in December. And then the chili bowl happened, and then we've gradually moved into what became an extravaganza, right? With and they're going to have musicians again, and Franny McCartney is going to be there, I think, on Sunday singing, and so there is going to be some entertainment, and they have a band there on Saturday. So and it's rain or shine, so let's hope that it's shine. We need rain, right? Just not that weekend, not the 3rd and the 4th. So please do go visit, encourage them, tell them how important McGroarty is to this community as a cultural art mecca, and that we support them, that we cherish them and we wish them well. And that way they'll be there for decades to come for all the poet laureate passing the laurels the next time, right?
Everything.
That'd be nice.
Everything they do just as an anchor in the community.
Which was always John Stephen McGroarty's intentions. He founded the Glendale Art Association. He was one of the founding board members. He was a playwright, right? He wrote the Mission play along with all the poetry he wrote. His Just California poem was in all the school texts back in the 40s, I believe.
So it was still,
reciting it.
When I was a student in the 60s in Los Angeles, Just California was still in our textbooks.
There you go. Now,
Wow,
I was a
that's a long
student in the
time.
60s too, and I went to McGroarty in the 60s, and I don't remember it at all, but I do now. I have very great awareness of him, and I always had of the center, but I didn't have it in my textbooks. I don't know. Maybe we went to different schools. Hi, KT. It's okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Dawn? All right. This next agenda item will be pretty quick because I have been looking for people that are actually well experienced at reading through the voter information, the legislation that is presented to us that we are supposed to vote on. My big concern was Proposition 28 in this past election. It passed with overwhelming majority, was almost a 2/3 majority, and it was the proposition that mandated additional spendings in the K through 12 grades for arts education. And essentially, it's going to be about an extra $1 billion directed. And all I could get and that I could understand was that they want to help the students get some experience with visual arts, music, as well as dance and other art forms. And the money is to be, whether it's an additional amount of money that comes out of the state budget, it's about 0.5% of California's annual budget, but the money filters down based on population, and there may even be some provisions for lower income demographics may get more of this money. But like every other proposition or legislation that goes through, there always seems to be some sort of loophole or adjustment that money can then get diverted back into the general fund. I wasn't able to find it on this particular instance. What I was found out was that the principal of whatever public schools we're talking about, the principal is then in charge of how this money gets divided up into their budget, and they can hire a music teacher, they can hire a choir director. In other words, they spend the money on some facet of art education. A little bit of money can be directed toward administrative. I mean, that's part of it. But materials and staffing is where the money's supposed to go. And as far as I'm concerned, you can buy them some field trips to the museum. Some kids end up going through 17 years of schooling and claim they've never been to a museum. So I was very fortunate. I got to attend operettas at the Shrine Auditorium. There were all kinds of things that I was exposed to that seemed like they were part of the regular budget. And the decades that follow, I heard quite a bit of those items being curtailed in one fashion or another. So that's all I know about 28. I'd like to find out in a year when this is supposed to start what change it's going to happen. Maybe anybody who knows some principals, maybe Mr. Chavez will be still available at Apperson Elementary School, and we can find out if he's able to divvy a little more money towards the arts. That would be great.
Bravo.
Okay. Next is Zoom tutorial. What do you need from me, Dawn?
I don't think you're going to need anything other than I'm going to go through this with all of you. And if you have questions, you can unmute right now. And anytime I'm going along, you could raise your hand and I'll call on you. I definitely am not doing this for me. I'm doing it for you. So I intend for this to be truly helpful. So this is Zoom 101, table of contents, updating Zoom, how to rename yourself, how to mute and unmute, filtering out background noise, how to stop, start video, virtual backgrounds, speaker view versus gallery view, pinning, unpinning, and reducing the size of a shared screen in advanced sharing. There's several functions there. So before we go right into Zoom and all the features, if you haven't done it, Zoom updates just so often, at least once a week or so, they do some sort of update. And when I first opened up in Zoom about probably 9 months before COVID, I was teaching in our district in Toastmasters Pathways classes in Zoom. So I had a jump start ahead of the rest of our district in knowing how to work in Zoom because I needed to. And one of the things I discovered is that it wasn't as safe in security as some of the things like WebEx. The banks were all using WebEx, and Toastmasters and other groups were using Zoom. And in many ways, Zoom is a much better platform, but it wasn't considered as safe. So Zoom heard that feedback, and they've done a lot of things to secure it, to make it more secure, give you more features. And if you haven't been updating, they update frequently. So right now, I took this screen share tonight. They're up to 5.12.8. So if you haven't, you go into this, just go into Zoom US download, and you go download. If you're 64-bit, which most of us are, you click download, and then you have to initialize and let it, download. And if you're a 32-bit, like a really old computer, small computer, you might have to use a 32-bit. So there's some other choices there as you go down the page. You'll see to find the computer you have and how it works best for you. For me, I can just click the download there and I'm done. So it gives me all the latest features because they keep coming up with better features. They want us to enjoy Zoom and get value from it. So that's my first thing, is that if you're in a room and everybody else is at 5.12.8 and the host is that, and then you're all the way back somewhere, eventually Zoom said they will stop you from joining rooms if you were 6 months before where they are right now. So that's really a big call to keep updating. Okay, so now did I skip? Okay, so the first thing I want to do, let me go. Yeah, here we go. A little too fast. Renaming yourself. We often have guests. So you guys look like you all know how to rename yourself. But for anybody who's leading a meeting and you want to help people, if they don't see a participant list. Now, in this case, I looked in my bottom bar here and I've got a participant list. So I can go in there. If I highlight my name, go over to the far right with my cursor over my name, and it has the 3 dots, and I can pin myself. That'll keep me at the top. But to rename myself, I have to go to the top of my box. I go into the 3 dots, and then I can rename myself usually. So I'm looking tonight, and it has to do with security settings. So it looks like they've disabled this for this meeting, which is very odd, because if your name is like that person on your list that had SL, I think her name was Susie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she should be able to rename herself, but in this particular meeting, it's not letting us rename ourselves, it is a security setting that you can prevent people from doing it. Normally, it isn't clicked. Normally, you can rename yourself.
Rename. Oh, okay. Well, I've got one. I did you say you could not rename?
Nope, I can't see it. It's because you're the host, you should be able to. So you
Yeah,
go
I can.
dot.
I'm the host, so I can rename myself committee chair. But you guys can't, huh?
Not right now, but normally that's not clicked. So you can rename yourself because it makes sense. If you have like Michelle Wadler's computer, if it says Hannah Wadler, she could change her name to Michelle.
Right.
If you
That'll
want,
help.
yeah, thank you, committee chair. So if we have guests and Joe says behind his name committee chair and somebody's looking at the screen, why is Joe doing so much talking? Well, because he's a committee chair, it's his job.
Ha.
That's good. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so Zoom 101, mute and unmute. I think everybody knows this well by now, but you see that little up caret next to mute? That has functions. So one of the functions is filtering out background noise. So when you click on that, and you'll see at the bottom, it says audio settings. Under audio settings, if you click that, this pop-up screen comes up and you'll see under audio profile, say Zoom optimized audio. And then you can go background noise suppression. You can go auto like I have at that time, and you can go low for faint background noise, medium for things like clicking pens and fans. And if somebody's using their keyboard while they're talking, that'll probably help. High is for things like dogs barking and people talking, televisions, things like that. So you can set this manually, or you can set it auto. Or if you don't want it, just click original sounds for musicians. So that's under audio. You could set test your speaker and microphone. That's also in there under audio settings.
Oh, excuse me. I have a question. Oops. But was that the original sound for musicians? What might that setting be?
So for instance, let's say if you're getting together with your friends and you're playing your guitar, you don't want the guitar sound to be filtered out. So you
Okay.
wouldn't click that unless you want them to hear background sounds.
Okay. Oh, original
See?
sound. That's
Original
where they
sound. So that's
hear.
the sound they're going to hear everything
Okay.
because I'm drumming. Now, if I have it on high filter, did you guys hear the drumming?
Oh, I didn't hear. Were you tapping?
Yeah, I was
No, I didn't
tapping.
hear it
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
you couldn't hear it because I have it right now on high.
Oh,
So
no.
now let me put it back to original sound and here. You could hear that?
I heard one tap.
Only one?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm tapping right there. So I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to put it on Zoom optimized. If I put it on high, I could beat this like crazy and you probably won't hear anything, right?
Right.
It gets rid of it. So that's the good news is that a lot of us, we get worried because our spouse, like my husband's in there watching All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
So I have it on high so you guys don't hear the war movie going on in there. Anything else about that, Joe?
No, well, I just wonder then it makes the assumption it must make the microphone on your computer like omnidirectional. In other words,
It
that
filters it. It filters it. So for instance, I'm sitting in front of my webcam.
mm-hmm.
And if any sound I make in front of this is going to pick up. But if I put on high, which I have right now, then it's not picking anything up but my voice. It's able to select out just my voice. Are you
Okay.
having any trouble hearing my voice?
No, you're very clear.
Okay, good. So that it works. You're not like David's walking down the hallway right now talking to our dog. Are you hearing that?
No, no, I'm hearing
Okay.
your dog. Your dog's giving David advice.
My chihuahua is saying, be nice to me.
Okay.
No, I didn't hear a thing. So here he goes. Stop start video. You guys know how to do that. And this is the virtual background. So everybody knows how to add more virtual backgrounds. Anybody have a question about that?
Mm, no, yeah, if I just want to take the time to load photographs into a file, because if you want to do your own custom thing, right, your computer's got to be able to pull a picture from somewhere.
So Pixabay is a great source of photos that are copyright free
Okay.
and free of charge. You can donate if you want, but you don't have to. Pixabay. You can say this picture behind me is Pixabay. So they have paintings, they have illustrations, they have beautiful landscapes all over the world. You can say landscape photography or landscapes. You could pick the season. There's just tons of pictures there that are really high quality. And if you download them onto your computer and then you know where the folder is that you put them into, here you go and you click that plus sign when you go into choose virtual background off of that up caret there next to stop video. And you can add in all kinds of things, pictures, photos, Zoom backgrounds of all kinds. You can even look Zoom backgrounds. I could list that as a search. And you bring them in and one at a time and you can change them out. You can make them seasonal. You can have fun with it. Now that's for those kind of backgrounds. And you can blur. You can see right now that there's a none, but there's also blur. You can blur your background if you want to blur it. So those are options you have. I also don't ever click that I have a green screen unless you have one functioning, because it's already set up to work without a green screen. If you don't click that, if you click it, it won't help. It'll make it worse.
Mm.
So it's only if you have a green screen, you click that one. Okay, and this is speaker view versus gallery view. So I think all of you know that, right? If you want to focus in on a specific speaker, like we had poets tonight, you want to just focus on the poet, you hit speaker view. The person talking will become the dominant image on the screen. If you want to see everybody's face, you have gallery view. There's a third thing if you're leading the meeting, it's called spotlight. You can put in, when you go into your, Joe could do this, if you go into your participant list and you want to spotlight somebody, you should have the ability to do that. I don't, but the host does. You can click on, look at the name, the 3 dots next to them, and it'll say spotlight, and you can turn it on and off. And that means that, so let's say KT happens to put down her mug or dog food bowl or something, and makes a noise while Marlene's saying a poem. So with speaker view, it'll switch from Marlene to KT because it heard a sound. But if you have spotlight going, it won't. They'll keep that person who's spotlighted on all the time until you remove it and put somebody else in the spotlight. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, pinning. If you want to pin a video, that puts it, it keeps it on screen. Oh, there you see the spotlight thing. If it's if you're the host, you can see these different options, but everybody can pin. So let's say if you want to keep somebody on the screen all the time, let's say you have 100 people in a meeting and you want to make sure that Joe DeCenzo stays on your screen at all times, you would pin him and he will stay in the visible screen. He won't move off to other screens. And then you have
Okay.
to unpin him so that he won't move off your screen. Now, so you see pin and then unpin. So you have to go to the top right corner, left corner up there to unpin once they're pinned. Any question about that?
No, actually, and sometimes I end up on my phone where you can view far fewer
Yeah. So you want
videos
to pin the
at one
person
time. I guess if
here
I were to,
talking.
yeah, like I would want to pin the primary speaker on the phone so that
Yeah.
he wasn't disappearing.
Now, when you have a screen share like you have right now, I have 2 monitors, so it's pretty easy for me. I have my, the monitor over here has the PowerPoint, and I'm looking at all of you on my #1 monitor right now. But if you have them both on the same screen, you can have split screen. And you can have, it's an option there, and you'll see there's these 2 little lines in the middle. And if you grab that bar, you can drag it over so that you can see more of the people that are in the gallery view and not just have the PowerPoint be so overbearing. It's just taking over the whole screen. So you can experiment with that. They're not easy to see, but if you grab that little bar, you can slide it. It's like a handle. You can put your cursor over it and then drag it over and make it the shared screen smaller or bigger.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you have a lot of people in your meeting, like you come to an STNC general board meeting, and if it wasn't set up the way it is, where everybody's in the dark, but you actually go to a meeting where everybody's videos are on, and you say, "Wait, I'm not seeing so and so, and I know she said she'd be here tonight." Well, there's a little blue caret that comes on the right side of the screen where you can go to the next screen to see other names and boxes. And it goes the reverse when you want to come back to the first screen. So you go scroll through all the different Zoom screens, and you can decide how many you want per your whole screen. So for instance, it's all the way up to, I think, 45, 50 on a screen, and you can be down to 16. You can set how many people you want to see in a screen at a time. That's one of the settings. Now, for sharing screen, a lot of people don't know this, but if you want to share sound, like you want to put on a recording like Craig Durst did last time with Nat King Cole singing The Nature Boy. See, there's a little, when you hit the share screen, this pop-up comes up and it shows everything you have open.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you've opened whatever you want to share before the meeting, because it makes it much easier because it'll be there. If you haven't, then you need to open it and close the share screen, open it again a few times sometimes to make it come up because you want to see it. But here is this little box in the bottom left says share sound. Now, if you click that box, it makes the sound for us much better. We'll actually not just hear it coming through your speakers, we'll hear it coming internally through the computer.
So that would help the audience.
The audience,
Their
if you want, Craig Durst was probably hearing Nat King Cole just great. I wasn't. I was hearing it through his speakers. So when you click that share sound, it'll be much better for your audience because they're hearing it directly through the screen and not through just his speakers and his desk. and optimize for video clip. That's the other one. If you was playing YouTube or something and you hit that box, it also makes the video clip smoother for your audience. Now you pick the screen you want. If you have a choice and the thing you want to share is on screen 2, that means everything you throw on that screen they'll see. Versus if all the other boxes, you'll just see that what you have open and you can move through it. But if you want to show them a second thing besides the PowerPoint or some other thing, you won't be able to do it. You can only do it if you pick screen 1 or 2 if you have 2 monitors, or if you have your own monitor. Like screen 1 would be your main monitor. If you want to show multiple things in a row, you can just move them in and out on that monitor and they'll see everything on your monitor. For whatever, that's what screen 1 and 2 does for you. Everything else is just going to be whatever's on that particular screen. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay. I went wrong way. Let's see. Here we go. Advanced screen sharing. So one of the things we do that's fun is if you want to have your PowerPoint as your background, it's there. You come into share screen, you go into advanced. You could say PowerPoint is a virtual background. You can decide where you want to be on the screen in front of the PowerPoint, and you pick up the file. So if I did it, this is just a demonstration, so I'm not doing it. Here, this isn't live, this is a screenshot, but you'd pick it and then you'd open up the file that you want of the PowerPoint you want behind you. And you could click through the PowerPoint and it'd be running behind your head. Now you'd have to plan for it because depending on where you want your head on the screen, it can move you around, but it'll block something on the screen if you aren't careful. So you definitely don't want it. You want to be aware of that if you do that. But a lot of people do it. They like it because then you get the person and the PowerPoint all at the same time and having to go like this, looking back and forth to the person to the PowerPoint. Okay, so I went the wrong way. Here we go. Nope, I went out. I guess that was it. Okay, folks. Any questions?
No, but that's a lot. I wanted to know if you have any supplemental lighting when you're doing your Zooms.
I always have supplemental lighting. I've experimented a lot. I know this one isn't optimal. I have a can with an extremely low watt LED up right centered above my monitor on the about a foot back or so that has a scarf over it. So it has filtered light on me. And then I also have, and if I want brighter light on my hair, I turn on my room light brighter. I have a ring of LED lights around my screen that's a rainbow. I can pick any color I want and it'll light me up from all the way around me. So it's like a ring light, but it's around my monitor. And a lot of people use ring lights. So they have clip-on ring lights that are little that you just clip right on the edge of your.
Like like I have a laptop.
Yeah, if you have a laptop and you want to use a clip-on ring light, they have them that clip right on. And so they're a circle of light. And the ideal thing is that you get light from every direction because most of us are not 20. And we, yes, you may want shadows if you're 20 or you want to look dramatic. At our age, we mostly don't. We mostly want light from everywhere to get rid
I
of
want all the lines to get washed out.
Yeah, all the wrinkles. There are other ways of doing it. I don't know if you
Scotch tape is, I just, before the meetings, I just Scotch tape everything back like this.
If I share screen 1, it should do this. Let's see if I move this over.
Now, obviously I wasn't using mine today, but I do have one of those clip-on ring lights.
Okay.
And
then Lucy, do you like the way you look on your screen when you're using that?
When I use it, yes, it makes you light up better and just look not like how I look right now.
So I don't think I can do it right now but I'm going to try. Video settings. Can you guys see a pop-up for video settings on my first screen? Because you can touch up your appearance right there. They have a box and you click it. And if you click it, it has a slider. And so you see how I look right now. And if I cross this slider, it's going to make me softer and softer. So it'll basically, look, I'm one mushy face. No lines at all. So that's touch up. And that's a setting right there when you go into your video and you go into video settings, and it has your whatever camera you're using. This is my video, it mirror my video, touch up my appearance. If you click that box, you have a slider, and you can go anywhere from completely wash out any wrinkles in your face to all the way back to none, or just a little bit, just a little bit, so you know that you're not 20. And
See,
adjust for low light. You can also do that right there. So this is you can do it at manual or auto. So like right now it's manual low. If I put it all the way up, see, it's washing me out. I'm
yeah,
so bright, I don't need this. So if somebody has a deeper skin tones, it really can help you to raise this up. But I find I don't use it because, as I said, I'm pale already.
okay. All right,
Okay.
Don, thanks. That's fantastic. I think
Okay.
that, everybody, even just the basic thing about being cognizant when your microphone is muted or not, because it's, how many times do we have to have people start all over again?
Yeah, so
Thank
don't
you
have
for
to
that,
mute yourself.
Dawn.
If you get rid of that background noise, my encouragement is get rid of the background noise and leave yourself unmuted so that when somebody asks a question, you can respond. Now, I don't always do that. If I hear a lot of noise outside my door, I'm not used to it. I
Yeah.
often do mute myself. But if you want to remember that you definitely could set just to filter it out. Everybody,
Okay.
anything else anybody has a question about? And otherwise, I'm all done.
Okay.
Okay. See
Very
well.
good. On to next. The future guest speaker is kind of a topic that's available for discussion all the time. And I ran into Gerardo over the weekend. He knows we're standing by. He has an open invitation. He just needs to give us a month in advance. And I am trying to think of somebody else. If a speaker has a release of a project they're doing coming up, it would be a good idea that they appeared as a speaker, or if there's something they're doing that they can tie into some other activity here in the community, I think that is a guest speaker I can more easily promote. So think of that when you're making your suggestions, and it really is best that we make the decision. I can't see anything, Don. Don, you're muted. You're muted.
I'm not muted. I did want.
Go ahead.
No,
Yes,
what about you, Lucy?
chair recognizes Don.
Lucy, you're a singer. You perform. Can Lucy do a stint as a featured artist? We can promote the Hanukkah and the Fiddles next month.
Well, the Hanukkah will have passed by next
Oh.
month's meeting, but her and her sister, I
yeah.
got a lot of kick. I saw about 6 or 7 of some videos that you guys produced for, it was a TikTok,
Yeah, the Dreydels.
the Dre Dells.
Yeah, we're a Jewish comedy act.
Okay, well, that is an option if you want to do that. If we have anybody coming up from other areas who might be doing something in Sunland Tahunga, that would be relevant.
I'm trying to think what I would do. I'm in the middle of a musical, and like it's already, the book's written and the songs are written and we're in production, like we're in pre-production.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how and what I would present.
If you wanted to do like we would call them backers readings, even though we wouldn't get any backers out of it, but it is sort of like a work in progress, or you could present a snippet of a story you would be interested when it's ready. There's nothing worse than trying to do something. I'm going to make myself a note. If we do anything with writers or poets like we just did, I will work to share the screen. I think there's a benefit to the audience being able to read along sometimes, because poetry can have syntax that may be considered unusual, or it just, So we can improve a reading type of segment again.
All right, to be continued on that. I'll
Yeah, look
think a
into
little
it
bit.
or something if you want to do up one. And then people have told me that Debbie Beck should take a camera around her studio because it is an enchanting place, I understand. And I've only seen a couple. I've only seen David's shop. I haven't seen Debbie's studio.
Is Debbie interested in that? Debbie, are you there? Do you want to show us into your studio?
Somebody
Maybe
just left.
Well, certainly not right now.
Not now.
No.
Yeah, no, with warning, of course.
I'm curious who said that to you, Joe.
It was during a larger group. It would have come out of here because we were throwing ideas around on guest speakers and artists that, would have something visual to show over a video meeting like this. So somebody mentioned you.
Oh,
Have you entertained? Have you had people running through your studio for something in the past?
not
Yeah.
for several years when we did the studio visit.
Yeah, when did the home studio tour,
Yeah.
we had how many people in that group? You remember, Debbie?
How many studios?
Yeah, it must have been
couple
about maybe
dozen, I
20,
think.
20 or 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot. So we definitely, any of those people, I have the list somewhere, Joe. If you want me to contact anyone, every one of them has a studio. I was part of with Marsh in the sculpting group at her house. I
Okay.
can contact Marsh again because her house is full of her sculptures and she keeps it beautiful. So she could do that.
Yeah, we can try and
Great.
get Marcia there. All
Marsh.
right. Marsh, is that different from Marcia? Who are we talking about?
Okay, Marsh, her real original name was Marcia, Marcia, but she goes by Marsh, Marsh.
And
Drucker.
what kind of sculpture does she do?
Perloff?
Oh,
No,
no, Marsh
no.
Drucker.
Marsh
She
Drucker. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't get the Drucker part.
Marsh
Okay.
Drucker. She came to our thing with Danielle a few, months ago when we had our meeting with Danielle.
Uh-huh.
And she has a sculpture group called Go Figure, and they meet in her home studio, and she has beautiful figurative sculptures and busts of heads and portraits around her home.
Oh, okay.
I could reach out to Marsh and see if she's still tickle her interest, see if she's willing.
Yeah, see if she's interested and wants to do it our forum. I mean, I could be honest, December might be tough. I don't know why this month's meeting is as small as it is. All I can figure is it's a holiday week, but
Well, we didn't advertise it. At least I asked you if you wanted me to do a promotion for it, and you didn't give me any go ahead.
no, I didn't throw anything together until the last minute, and nobody reads my emails anyway. So
I
Oh, I
read
do.
them.
I read them.
Also, there's a lot of illness going around right
Yes.
now. Like right now, both my kids had two different things, and now my husband's down. So it's only by luck that I'm still standing here now.
And
So-
and prayers and blessings to you, because Joanna Gates has been feeling sick for several days and said,
Yeah,
I
there's
was
a lot
hoping
going
to be up
around.
for today, and I'm just not. And I said, well, I hope you don't have COVID, because I've been hearing about a lot of people getting COVID again.
Yeah, well, luckily there's all sorts of fun
Yeah.
things to catch right now. Such a variety. We don't have to narrow it into COVID anymore.
No,
we
we
just
don't
have
have
so
to. I
many
said it might not be
diseases.
COVID.
no.
So many diseases now.
Okay, so I'm going to table number
Oh, this-
9.
And I can help Gerardo. I've got lots of pictures of his sculptures. I can find them and put them all together, send him a link to see if they're what he wants to share. And if he's willing, we could put that into a PowerPoint and he could be a presenter.
Okay.
I'd love to see Marcia's. I don't know her, and that sounds really interesting, and it would help us get yet another artist involved in the committee, maybe. So
Agree.
be interesting.
We need to bring more people in.
Yeah.
Well, she has a whole Go Figure studio of sculptors from around here. They're all local sculptors.
Is
And
she local here?
yeah, she's in Shadow Hills, and and has been for a very long time on McBroom, and she lives right down the street from Danielle. They're neighbors or friends. And Gerardo goes over there, and I was going there, and quite a few other sculptors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. We have our studio tour. Remember, Debbie? I don't know if you did it, but I went around the year before we had our sculptures at Go Figure, and I went to the previous tour, I guess, or another day. But I went around, and we've got someone who does, we have several fused glass artists in this community. We have people who do stained glass, people who do just all kinds of mosaics and other forms of art. Go ahead.
Besides California Dance Theater,
Benita Bike.
Jamie's wife.
Well, anyway, Benita Bike has a group that she's performed in McGroarty numerous times.
She wasn't who I was thinking of,
Oh.
but what's her name?
Benita Bike.
Benita?
Isn't that her name? Let me double check that. But she has a group that has performed. We had McGroarty used to get funding to put on summer events, and she would perform at McGroarty, her modern dance troupe. She'd choreograph it, and they would dance. They're professional dancers. They do a great job. So,
yeah.
Right.
Well, the one I'm thinking of is Aaron.
Benita Bike. Go ahead.
Aaron. What's Aaron's last name?
So it's called Benita Bikes Dance Art Company, and there's a website. 42 years of dancing and still more to come.
Okay.
So it's BENITA Bike BIKE Dance Art Company, and she's here local. She was even on the McGroarty board, and I think she just left. I think Joanna said she left.
Dance Arts. Perhaps there's something. Maybe she has some video that she can show.
I'm sure they have lots of videos, and they're really good dancers.
Okay, I think that would be a really neat, so especially if they have a show or a regular thing coming up that they could talk about or they could promote. But
she loves McGroarty, and she's someone who's actually leaned into considering becoming an executive director at one point. So she didn't do it, but she cares about McGroarty. She's been a big supporter for McGroarty Art Center. Benita Bike. I chat you this stuff, but there's no way to put up a chat.
That's another thing I can't figure out. It's got to have something to do with how this.
It's a security setting, but if you can't get into security, Joe, then if you get into security, if you have that symbol, it looks like
yeah, it doesn't let me do anything. Lock meeting, enable waiting room.
Keep going down the list.
Allow participants. Well, here, can I click on this?
Yes.
No.
It doesn't.
Wait a second. Okay, now you guys should be able to rename yourselves.
Okay, and does it let you chat?
No.
Yes, now I can rename myself. Thank you.
Remove participant.
Not that I need to, but.
Or suspend participant activities. Doesn't even give me an option for chat. Nothing. Show captions. I got interpretation. I got apps. I got whiteboards.
Yeah, but under the security setting is where the app, the chat.
That's where it is for most people.
To let people chat.
Okay, so they've
banned chat.
The city account. They've done this share screen. It says allow participants to.
It should say chat.
No.
It's so weird that the city's doing this, because I've gone to the board meetings and it's basically a podcast, right? You guys are just all black screens. There could be nothing more dull to someone who's visual than seeing nothing but black screens with names on them.
Oh yeah. There's nothing else. We're just listening to voices.
Yeah, it's and not being able to chat. I mean, that's hardly a town hall or a meeting. It's like, what are they?
I'm wondering that may be they don't want all this backbiting going on behind when the speaker is.
Yeah, I could see that. So, for instance, you can allow chat and take it away. So if somebody chats something that's inappropriate, you can shut it down anytime.
Okay.
But, it just seems like seeing people, at least in a webinar setting, shouldn't the board be visible, that we can see all the board members' faces so you can see when they're
Uh-huh.
talking?
A lot of
Oh,
that.
that's what KT looks like, and she's talking right now. You know, it's very, I've had people from the community tell me I never go to the board meetings anymore because they're so boring, I fall asleep. Because I can't see anything. All I do is hear voices. So there you go. Anyway, so I'm so grateful that we don't do that, that we can see each other. Look at Lucy, she's on top of the world.
Yay. The California Dance Theater? No.
Yeah,
Aaron?
dance art.
California Dance Art?
Yeah, it's in one word, dance art.
Now I'm talking about Aaron's company.
Oh, Erin. Is that like ERIN?
ERIN, yeah, she's Jamie's wife, and she's done stuff at McGroarty, but every year she used to do like the Snow Queen down at Glendale.
Okay.
And I think her troupe regularly works out at La Crescenta High.
Okay. Remember that in our STARC meeting, there were these two guys who were opening up a dance studio right there off of Foothill in that little mini mall that's just
Yeah,
below
I don't think
Mount
anything
Gleason.
happened with it.
I wonder
King.
if they died because they'd rented that place for dance classes. Remember?
That's terrible.
I know. No, I mean, just before COVID. It's like when COVID happened, probably just shut them down.
Yeah.
Well, they're still on my CC list. I haven't heard from them since, the
Okay.
one meeting they came to, and then that was it. That's all they heard from. Let's see, anything else worth talking about? I want to say we're really close with the bus bench ads. We've got two, and we're almost done with like that second one with the stew. It takes all kinds to make a great stew. I like the
Let's get
vegetables.
cooking.
Let's get cooking. Yeah. And we were just trying to throw a third idea in, and then under Gerardo, he can update us next time. I want to find out if anybody has the interest in trying one more time with this Phoenix Rising. We can ask. Yeah.
I have approached the council district office, but that takes a while.
Yeah.
But Mary is working on that.
Okay.
Okay, because what's going to happen is I'm pretty set on if the council district doesn't want it, or it would look good at the park, put it inside the building of the park. It's very fitting with stuff like that.
I don't know where they put it. Maybe the senior center. There's not a lot
That's
of.
right. The senior center's there.
Senior center would be
In a
terrific
glass box, so nobody cut their fingers on the mosaic or.
because I'm going to make after that. All right. I'll hang on to it. I mean, it's not in the way yet, but it soon will be. And then when I'm done with it, I'm going to make 2 phone calls. I'm going to make a phone call to Ariana Gibbons. And then if she doesn't get back to me in a reasonable amount of time, I'm going to make a phone call to Waste Disposal.
Well, remember the place up in the canyon wanted it? Couldn't we just get it?
Oh, up at Redbird?
Yeah.
I'm almost embarrassed.
Just say, look, if you're still willing to take it, we're happy to give it to you.
Okay, I'd have to find that person's name because it was before COVID.
Yeah.
So everything before COVID, that's like almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It'll be 3 years ago coming up in March.
So
I think it's fine.
Going to the
I think it's fine.
Yeah, Debbie?
I can get you the name of the Redbird woman. I don't remember it right now, but I have it because she was in the art shows.
It would help me pull up.
But
I might have her email still.
Have you completely given up on the school now?
Yes.
Yeah, they said no, they don't want it.
It's not that they said they didn't want it. They said there's too much bureaucracy now.
Because of the asbestos?
They want a core sample of it.
Oh,
They
Jesus.
want to make sure there's nothing toxic in the whole thing. And how could
Well,
you
that's
do
just crazy. who's going to be core sampling, drilling into it to get toxified by
Like
it?
everything
how
at
you
this, like everything at the school's been tested. I doubt that very
Yeah.
much.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
They don't want to be sued because some kid did something and got hurt.
What a world. Okay.
So yeah, that's the at the last meeting, Michelle informed us that Mr. Gallegos and uh, Mrs.
Miss Wen.
Nguyen,
I remember the beginning of that, but I never heard the resolution of
That's
what giving up.
yeah, that's what bothers me is why this had gone on like a year and a half
Yeah, before you
before this
finally heard
came
this.
up. Because we were hanging out, we went to the trouble to price materials for a steel frame. They wanted a steel frame. Kathleen came over. She was already considering how like a restoration could occur. You know, put all this into, and then this Gallego guy gets involved.
Wow.
He's
So
the
anyway,
facilities manager
Yeah,
for
facilities, they should have involved him
the
right
region.
away.
I was wondering, yeah, I could ask why wasn't he involved from the get-go, and then who injected him in at this time? That's the question, and so it's too bad. I think it would have been lovely for the kids, and
The more art
there
in
you
a
go.
child's life, the better.
Yeah.
There
And,
you
we're
go.
in a society that everybody's suing everybody. If you go to
No,
other
that's true. I
countries, there's
mean,
holes in the sidewalk. They don't worry about it. Somebody has to watch where they're walking. You don't fall in a hole and sue the city because you broke your leg. You have to be careful where you go. Here, people sue each other. They sue the city, they sue everybody. So I'm sure the city, the schools or the city are very afraid of getting sued if something happens.
Wow.
yeah, that could be.
So Joe is your next choice, the council office, but you're waiting to hear back because KT's looking.
I'll give it a little bit of time. I mean, if KT is willing to put the effort out to see if they're interested in it, I know it could take a couple of months to get a response. And here's the boy, oh boy. If I remember correctly, after this person up in Redbird
Yeah.
said that she was like really excited about getting it, Ariana chimed in and said no, she wanted it to stay down here.
So
And
if you explain to her it's either there or the trash, I think she may bid.
I'd
Right?
hate to.
Well, if you
No,
want
because we don't have a place. I
to,
mean, McGroarty said they could take it, but it'd have to be framed and on the parking lot and, right?
I was trying to remember like what changed
I don't
the
know, because Frank said it would be okay with him if it's in some kind of a frame and it's on the parking lot and it's not in danger to the kids, but the city, there again, the facility person might come out from the city from Parks and Rec and go, oh,
like I don't know. Did they take a core sample of are those Lars Hawk sculptures that are up in the McGroarty parking lot?
that's right.
Are those
I
Lars
don't think
Hawk?
they took any
do
sampling
they
of
have
that.
lead paint on them?
When you do public art, you do have to submit one of those, what is it, the ASMI, anyway, one of those fact sheets about all the materials that you have
Mhm.
used. And I think that the problem with this is that nobody knows
Right.
what
She-
went into the making
Yeah.
of this.
It's just all the pieces she found from the burn areas of the station fire. So it's a real eclectic mix of things that she in this mosaic that she picked up.
Yeah. I'm more likely to go, I see the relevance of Redbird because only 250 some thousand acres of the forest burned. I mean, it's and the Redbird's kind of right up there in the middle of it all.
Well, and
So I
she's
negotiate with the artist. I tell her, look, we've tried and tried. You can make a list of all the places we've approached over the years. I remember how many years it is now. And
Well,
if this
she's
is the
also
only
the
place,
official person to document the rebirth of the forest, so it's appropriate
yeah,
for her to have it up there. It's just, it wouldn't be as publicly viewable as it would be at a school or the council office, but you'd probably have the same issues with the council office if they
you
have the same
might. or having it in
regulations
the-
as Birdie.
Didn't we look at having it in an East Valley, the East Valley municipal
Hall?
building? Mhm.
I think that's
They
what,
turned it down.
well, we did back then,
Yeah,
and it might have been before,
COVID.
no, it might have been before Monica.
That's true. So we
Might
could
have been-
approach Monica again.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you're right, it
what
would
we're
have been
doing.
before- Okay, let's give Monica a chance.
Yeah,
But if Monica says no, then hey, nobody's seeing it in your backyard, Joe.
That's real.
I have nothing against the piece. I'm just saying if nobody has, it's a big piece, and if nobody has a place for it, wouldn't you rather have it at Redbird than just going away?
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody could see it up there. Nobody's seeing it in your backyard.
Right.
And it's an expense to put it up with. I do get that the school is also looking at that, right? The expense of. putting
They'd
up
have to
a
spend
frame
some
for it.
money. Yeah, we'd have to raise the money for the frame or something. Yeah.
And I said this all along, that I don't think the schools are gonna let you have any piece where you put it up and a kid could come up and with their hands touch it and it's got pieces of glass in it. They could cut themselves. I just didn't think they would let you,
Mm.
elementary school.
Well, they were going to put glass over the surface
Yeah.
of it.
But when we first talked about that, everybody was saying no. I said, let's put glass and put it in a glass box. He said, no, you don't want to do that. Well, I think you'd have to.
Here's where we are. Yeah.
well, plexiglass might be more
Yeah, you
appropriate.
could do- I
What if
said
somebody
plexiglass,
broke
oh,
the
that gets all
glass?
clouded looking. People are arguing that that's getting all clouded.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to get new plexiglass,
Unless you were willing to get through, commit to changing it or repairing it.
I think they have better quality plexiglass now than they used to.
Yes,
Using
they
it
do.
for something, it's probably very expensive.
Also, 3/8 inch glass does not break. It's pretty.
It's real heavy.
Yeah,
It's really darn heavy. That's why it needs the huge steel frame.
Yeah, it needs a frame. And if somebody throws something really hard at it, it won't shatter.
Well, you get it tempered.
If you drive a truck into it,
Has to be away from anywhere somebody could drive into it, because that's the way the world is right now, right? People are driving in and hurting people. Oh my gosh, driving into stores. Wild times.
kidding.
So blessings to this Phoenix, the wonderful rising of the Phoenix.
Right.
Onondaga has risen, hasn't it? And the
Yep.
forest is risen. We've got a lot of life coming back. We've got deer up there and mountain lions and critters and bears, and a lot of life has come back since the station fire. It's a beautiful thing to see the resurrection of life.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm glad I lived to see it.
Yeah.
It did take 10 years. There's still some areas.
Oh yeah.
I think the road to Mount Gleason is still closed. I have to double check that.
Mm. It was just criminal that it started out as this little tiny fire up by the station off of the Angeles Crest Highway, and the Forest Service says we don't fire things at night to put it out, and it ended up being this massive fire. It killed people. Just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now they do. They fly at night.
All those
They
homes.
get it out fast. Don't wait till it goes for miles.
yeah.
Okay. Is anyone attending a holiday tree lighting? I'm putting up a Festivus poll the day after Thanksgiving. Oh, don't think I'm joking. I'm not joking.
I love Seinfeld and I love the idea of Festivus. So
Well, it'll start as the Festivus pole. I'll leave it up for a week and then I string lights on it. I turn it into something pretty, but I'm going to hang a big card on it just says Festivus pole. See if I get any laughs.
All I will
you
leave
got a laugh
everyone,
from me.
all I will say is please join us December 19 for Hanukkah in the foothills.
Yes.
That's my parting words.
December 19th.
5 p.m.
Yeah.
We hope.
It's a week.
Monday
It's a
night.
weeknight, but we're going to try to keep it a little more traditional, a little
All
close.
all the kids are
Mm.
out of school, so hopefully for the people who want to bring their kids, that it will be a non-issue because they're all
Oh,
out of
that's
school.
good. I
Now it's a
didn't
little
think of
bit
that.
early. It's a little early because, well, it starts at sundown, but I
And
feel like
sundown's
people
early now.
all like work from home a lot these days, so like I don't think it's a problem. We're in a new world. So yeah, it starts early, but I think it'll be fine. God willing. Ooh, now I've gone into the dark of the universe.
Did you just
Definitely
invoke the
like-
G word? Did
God!
you just invoke the G word at a city meeting?
All right, that's all I got.
Yeah. No, I actually I thought about the fact that we were doing holiday poems, but I wanted to call it more like, because we're a city meeting, the city itself was not promoting or supporting a religious background, but as an expression of the writer, of the poet. So I think we were okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
I
Well,
think
but
we
Monica
said
promoted
Christmas.
the Dia de los Muertos a lot.
That is a specific practice or an observance
And
in
it's
reverence.
spiritual. Dios is God.
The Deus
Oh,
is,
see, God.
yes, right. I thought
Day of the
Deus.
Dead, but
Well, Deus is day, Deus,
Day of the Dead.
Las
but it
Muertas.
is this idea of this. It is.
Okay.
It is All
Holy-
Souls Day.
Yeah,
So
All
it's
Souls Day.
Souls
That's
Day.
exactly what it is, KT. It's All Souls Day. And it is
Okay.
the rising of the spirit and the celebrating of your departed loved ones. It is a spiritual event.
Okay.
very Catholic event.
Well, not really. To be fair, it's got pagan in there, isn't it?
Um,
Yeah, it does.
pagan roots. I
You
think
know,
so.
it does. It's Halloween. Halloween and is pagan and the Dia de los Muertos, but the eve of All Saints Day. So the hallowed eve. But where we've gone with it is very much haunting our pagan traditions,
Okay.
much as Easter has all the bunnies and chicks and
Eggs.
fertility.
I always love that. I always ask my mom, when did this rabbit lay these eggs?
Exactly. Now, and what does this have to do with the resurrection of the Christ?
Birth of a bird? I don't know.
You know,
Well, that
all the
actually would
bunnies
be.
and the bunnies and the eggs, the colored
Do you
eggs.
happen to know, Kathleen, was it a mutation of some idea how eggs and bunnies and became part of Easter?
Well, because it was based upon pagan fertility,
Yes.
the fertility of the
Spring.
spring, the
A
arrival of the
spring thing that's when it came in anyway.
Yes.
Didn't just have to do with
They
the.
merged them. All our holidays
They
are like
merged them.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you want to know about Santa Claus, I did a speech about Santa Claus because the red coat and everything is Scandinavian. It was the Norse, and they had these elf these little Divic figures from Nordic pagan traditions where they were involved, the elves, and that's how the elves got involved with Christmas and
Oh, the elves too.
all that.
Okay.
It had very little to do with Jesus. But it all got merged together beautifully.
Well, there's Father Christmas. There's Father Christmas, and then there's Saint Nicholas.
Yes.
That is loosely based on somebody
Yes, there is a Saint Nicholas from
in
Italy.
European. But then the whole
Italy,
jolly
and,
Santa Claus we know was
The whole
Coca-Cola.
Santa Claus, the jolly Nick with his reindeers and everything, that's from the Norse. So
Okay, but
we in
Coca.
America, merged it all together beautifully, and now it's just caught on around Europe as well.
Yeah. I am going to a Christmas tree lighting. I don't know what the city of Pasadena is calling it. I think they're just calling it a tree lighting ceremony. And my friend, my former Celtic bandmate, when I played Celtic folk music, is hired to be the Santa Claus for this tree lighting on December 2nd.
Okay. Well, McGroarty, I don't know who will be our Santa Claus this year, but many years, Leanne Stein's father, a
Yeah,
wonderful Jewish guy, was playing Santa Claus every year. So
that's not allowed. How is that allowed?
sure it is. He did
I
it.
like it.
We got a Jewish Santa.
Well, and you know that our
I've heard
cross-
of that more than once, a Jewish
Yeah.
Santa.
I'm sure I just great.
Oh,
our
Jesus
cross of
came
San
from a Jewish
Ysidro up on the
family.
hill. San Ysidro was a Jewish peasant who was a farm worker for an Islamic landowner who became a Catholic saint and patron saint of farm workers and small farms. So, you know,
Why not?
there and right. So
And McGroarty named the cross, right?
yes,
McGroarty named the cross
the
after
cross of San Ysidro.
San
Mhm.
Ysidro.
So crazier things have happened.
Yes,
Right.
right.
All right, I don't want to keep anybody else. I have a ladder to climb tomorrow, and I'll need to have
Oh,
my.
you want to get your rest. So
All
sweet
right.
dreams, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving, everyone. Take care.
I'll adjourn the
Many
meeting.
things to be grateful for.
Yes,
Nine
so much to be
36.
grateful for. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Be well.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye.
All right.